How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about the team selection going into double Game Week 24, as well as taking a look at how the squad got on in Game Week 23. So this week, we're switching it up, releasing the team selection before the Game Week preview, and the reason behind that is I just need some more time to validate those fixtures coming up in the next couple game weeks, because that's going to be the main talking point of our double Game Week 24 preview. So in this video, we're going to be talking about my own specific squad, so that's something you're interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going over a review of Game Week 23, it was not a double game week, only a single game week. And before you guys get into the comments and absolutely have a go at me for having so many points on the bench, just remember that we still managed to get a green arrow. So I think if I started Calvert-Lewin and Gundogan over Cancelo and Souček, we would have been looking at another entry into that 100-point club. But you know, in FPL, you never get the maximum amount of points, so I'm still trying to be positive. And as I mentioned, we still did get a green arrow. So yes, we finally are in the top 100k. I think it's the first time this season that we've managed to break that 5-digit mark. So that just makes it a whole lot sweeter. And then hopefully in the upcoming game weeks, we can just continue this trend of green arrows and we can just finish as high as possible. I'm not really trying to think of end season rank goals here, but we're just going to be taking it one game week at a time. Going on to the entire lineup here, from Fabianski and Soufal, we managed to get a clean sheet there. So that Fulham game was actually quite close for West Ham. I thought it would be quite a comfortable win. I'm not talking about a 4-0 or 3-0, but I thought maybe a 2-0, 1-0 would have been perfectly adequate for them. So that game was actually quite close. Just happy in the end to get 2 clean sheets out of that result. And because I didn't own many West Ham attackers, I think it actually was in my favor a little bit. The thing that wasn't in my favor was a red card for Souček with basically the last kick of the game. That red card has since been rescinded, but unfortunately in FPL, just because that red card does get taken back, the points aren't given back. So still 0 points there from Souček, and having a play in your starting lineup with 0 points when your first option on your bench has 13 does look quite bad. So maybe I should have thought a little bit more about that decision. But then again, it was Souček against Fulham, and Fulham have conceded a lot of heading chances. So I thought Souček might have got something. Maybe if he didn't get the red card, he could have scored off that last West Ham free kick. You never know, and we will never know because he was red carded. But just luckily, he will be fit to play next game week if you do want to start Souček. The rest of the defense, we also had some stacked defenders here. We got Dallas with 12 points. Not really like Leeds to keep clean sheets recently, and I would know as a Dallas owner, so I was really happy that they came out of that Crystal Palace fixture with the clean sheet, and then Dallas also got an assist. So if you don't know, with Dallas, he's out of position currently, playing at that center midfield role for Leeds. So if you don't have him, I would definitely consider getting him, especially with that double coming up next game week in Game Week 25 for Leeds. Then next up in the defense was Justin. So James Justin seems to have a target on his back in the FPL community. Currently, it seems like he's one of the most annoying players in the FPL community for those of you who don't own him. So for those of us who do own him, he's one of the fan favorites here. So lovely 9 points there because of 3 bonus points. At about the 80-minute mark, he wasn't even on for any bonus points, but then massively jumped up to 3 bonus points suddenly, and I'll always be taking that. Then finally, we have Cancelo here with 2 points. I did think that Liverpool game would be quite close, but it wasn't in the end. Man City absolutely destroyed them thanks to some Liverpool defensive mistakes there, but they still managed to go on and win 4-1, and then unfortunately they did concede the penalty. But then we did own Salah, so I guess it's a little bit of bittersweet there. But considering how that result went, I thought it would be quite close. It was the opposite, and if I knew that it was going to be a high-scoring game, I definitely would have looked at Gundogan. So not beating myself up about that decision, but in hindsight, it does look like the wrong one. The midfield had some performance, had some lowlights. We have Fernandes and Salah both with 7 points. No, they both did not score a penalty, only Salah this game week. And then Fernandes had a lovely goal against Everton, but because that game ended 3-3, the bonus points were quite spread. Then finally, because we've already touched on Souček, we have our captain for the week, which was Heung-min Son. I really was happy when I saw Harry Kane on that starting lineup for Spurs, as that only meant that Spurs were going to play better. It ended 2-0 with Son getting a goal and some bonus points, and I'll happily take a double-digit return from my captain. He was also the transfer in this week, so we used one of our free transfers. We took Harvey Barnes out, who blanked, and we brought in Heung-min Son to captain him, and right off the bat, that decision does look like it paid off. Then finally, going into the forward line, we have Bamford and Watkins, and Ollie Watkins finally getting some bonus points. Returned some bonus points for the previous game weeks because he got all 3, and I was just happy that he managed to get on the score sheet again with bonus points. And then also Bamford also scored a goal. He missed a lovely one-on-one chance, and if you watch that post-match conference with Bamford, he said he captained himself in his own FPL team. It's nice to know that there are players that have have FPL in the back of their mind when they are playing these fixtures. The bench, we've already spoken about it. Gundogan had an absolutely stellar game after that penalty miss. When he missed that penalty, I was thinking that this was the correct decision to bench him. But then after that, obviously, I was regretting it because he managed to get 13 points. Going for Diaz bench was the right decision in the end. And then also with Calvert-Lewin, I was always going to bench Calvert-Lewin. That's just the unfortunate fact of having a really stacked starting lineup and bench because they just were such good fixtures. I wasn't going to play an Everton play against United as I thought that would be quite a tougher game. But Everton really showed up and United didn't show up defensively. So in the end, 12 points rooted to my bench on the third position. So this would have been a nice game week to use the bench boost. If you can remember, our bench boost consisted of the Leeds options with only 2-point appearances. So 8 points looks like a complete bench fail, especially when I'm scoring about 28 points on a single game week. So now going on to the talking point, and this is the reason why I'm moving the team selection before the Game Week 24 preview, is because there are FA Cup fixtures happening tonight. So I would keep your guys' eyes glued to the TV screens as well as to Twitter because there's going to be a lot of fixtures being announced and postponed. So the reason why the FA Cup is such a big occurrence is that the FA Cup quarterfinals, which is the next round, takes place on Game Week 29. So those teams who make the quarterfinals and the teams in the Premier League who are playing those teams will be having a blank. So a lot of blank fixtures will be happening in Game Week 29, and then the Game Week 29 fixtures will be moved to Game Week 26, making it a double. So that massive amount of blanks is going to be moved to Game Week 26, which makes it a massive double game week. So that's why I'm holding my transfers currently, holding my transfer plan just to see who makes it through in the FA Cup, and then obviously their fixture will be out of Game Week 29. We're probably not going to have absolute certainty of the double Game Week 26 fixtures. These fixtures might be rearranged later on in the season or for other double game weeks, but it does look quite likely that double Game Week 26 will take place. So that's why I recommend you guys use your free transfers as late as possible, maybe even on Saturday morning if you can, because we have to get as much news as possible in before making our moves. So now going on to the transfers that I am considering, taking into account the news that I just spoke to you guys about before. No, I've not used any of my free transfers because it wouldn't be good advice for me to tell you guys to hold yours when I have made transfers. So I do have 2 free transfers this week and I definitely will be using one of them, and I think I'm leaning towards only using one of them. So I know I have 2 available. There is a double game week coming up, but I think I might just hold one transfer until we get those double game week 26 fixtures out, as I think that double game week 26 is going to be a lot more profitable than the upcoming game week. I know Burnley have great fixtures, but I think the ceiling is quite low for them. The floor might be quite high, so you could look at even captaining a Nick Pope if you want, but the defensive options are definitely what I'll be looking at from Burnley, considering I already have a Man City triple up. So the transfer I will probably be doing almost certainly this week is taking Lucas Fabianski out and bringing in Nick Pope. The next move that I could do is taking Sufal out for Loughton. I've gone for Loughton over someone like Ben Mee or Tarkowski because with Harry Kane coming back from injury and Kevin De Bruyne returning to full team training hopefully soon, we really do need that budget. So I don't really think it's worth spending those extra 0.1 millions over a player like Loughton when he comes in so cheap. A lot of people have also been asking me about Eric Peters, so I wouldn't go for Peters, and the reason being, if Charlie Taylor comes back from his injury, there's going to be some rotation there, whereas with Loughton, he should be the starting fullback, and I think the favored fullbacks are definitely Loughton and Taylor. So Peters, although he might be cheap, and maybe if Charlie Taylor's out for the foreseeable future, you could look at Eric Peters, but I think you might as well just spend that extra 0.3 or 0.2 to afford Loughton because he's the better option. So now going on to the lineup for double game week 24, as I said, I've not made any transfers yet, but I will be talking you guys through the transfers and the captaincy decisions if I want to captain a player that I take in. Hint, hint, Nick Pope. So starting off in the defense, not going to talk about Fabianski because he's probably going to be on the way out. So we've got Diaz and Cancelo here. So with Diaz, I'm hoping that we can get a guaranteed 180 minutes out of him, but with that Man City rotation and with Laporte back from injury, that might not happen. So I'm just hoping for the best from Diaz. Those fixtures are quite tough from a defensive point of view. Spurs, Everton, I've spoken about throughout the week how those teams love to counter-attack, and I reckon that Man City will allow the teams to counter-attack just because of the way they play. They hold possession up, quite a high line usually, and I'm thinking that a Harry Kane, a Heung-min Son, or even a Calvert-Lewin could find their way in behind and have a one-on-one with Edison. So hopefully he saves that because I do have a double up in the defense. We're also partnering that with Cancelo. With Cancelo, he might be rotated, yeah. I'm just kind of hoping that he starts one and maybe he bangs in one, and then I'll be absolutely fine. The other defender I do have is Sufal, and that's the reason with Fabianski and Sufal that's quite tough, is that they do face Sheffield United. So I'm hoping for a clean sheet here, maybe an attacking return from Sufal, but I would rather lose Fabianski over Sufal just because of that attacking threat. So that's why Nick Pope will probably come in here besides Matt Loughton, because Loughton doesn't offer much of an attacking threat. Now go watch him bang a hat-trick this week because I said that. Going on to the midfield, we have some really good fixtures there. We've got Bruno Fernandes as my vice-captain because he faces West Bromwich Albion. If you do have a player like Rashford, Fernandes, these players should be on your mind for a potential captaincy because I think it's basically a guarantee of points. So if you are that type of FPL manager that wants a safe captain, I reckon that Bruno Fernandes and Rashford is super safe and they should be getting quite a good result against West Brom. Souček is going to be starting in this lineup against Sheffield United, as I do think that there is a chance for an attacking return from one of those set pieces, because that's basically what this game is going to be all about. I reckon it's going to be quite a close game with a set piece maybe separating it, so that's why Souček will start. And yeah, if you do have Antonio, you can also play him. It's just such a good fixture, and I'm hoping that West Ham can rebound after this draw that they did have last week. Gundogan is currently my captain. It's just Man City. It's a double game week that usually means some FPL points. I definitely think in terms of a ceiling, he's got quite a high one. I mean, if Cancelo and Diaz keep a clean sheet, all that Gundogan has to do is score a goal. I mean, easier said than done. They are facing Spurs and Everton, but the way Man City are playing currently and the form that they're in, I am favouring Gundogan from a captaincy point of view. Then finally, Salah against Leicester. I'm just hoping Liverpool usually play well against Leicester, so I'm hoping that Salah can get something out of this and just kind of rebound. Liverpool are playing really bad recently, and they need a good result against one of the better teams to kind of boost them on, I do feel. And in the forward line, we're currently starting Bamford, but that could be replaced with someone like Son if I think he's going to do well. But currently, Bamford, Watkins, and Calvert-Lewin are my lineup. Calvert-Lewin will definitely start as he does have that double game week. Kind of a single game week in my opinion, as you're going to be focusing on that Fulham game, because that Man City game I think is always a tough one. So hopefully he does well against Fulham, and then Watkins is on good form against Brighton. I know they've been playing quite well defensively recently, but Aston Villa also quite good on the attack. So that's what I'm hoping Watkins maybe can get a goal, and then Bamford as well. Leeds just always getting those chances. Bamford will always get chances in a game. You just got to hope that he finishes a little bit better than he did in the previous game week. On the bench, Dallas, I'm not really trusting that Leeds defense. Heung-min Son against Man City, and then also Justin against Liverpool. So I think the bench kind of picks itself. I think Son's the only one there. It kind of never feels good to bench an option that is quite a premium asset, but I think this game week might be an exception. And then now talking about the captaincy, so I've spoken about Gundogan being a good captain, but now I'll talk about Nick Pope, because a lot of you have also been asking if you should be captaining Nick Pope. So my opinion on Nick Pope is that I do think he has a high floor but a low ceiling. What that means, if you want to kind of translate it, is I think that he's got a potential to get a good average score. So not an amazing score. We always speak about a player like Sterling. If Sterling gets a hat-trick, obviously that ceiling can be super high, but the floor is also the minimum amount of points that he can score. So you can kind of replace the words ceiling and floor with minimum and maximum. So I think that Nick Pope has a low maximum but a high minimum. So if he gets a clean sheet there, it should be on for bonus points. If he can manage to get 2 clean sheets, that's even better. But you are kind of looking at, if a player like Gundogan goes and scores 2 goals and 1 goal in each game and gets bonus points, that ceiling is going to be a lot higher. So I think Nick Pope is a nice safe option. But if you're looking at Nick Pope, I think that you should also be looking at a player like Bruno Fernandes instead, because I think that his high ceiling could also be quite good for that game. So this is basically wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you're new and have not subscribed yet. As I mentioned previously, I'll be releasing the Double Gameweek 24 preview tomorrow, talking about all the upcoming doubles and blanks, hopefully with more insight. So hopefully I see you guys there. Otherwise, I'll check you guys on my Twitter at Dayvy FPL. I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.